Hey everyone, Stepan Salomatin here, and today I want to talk about the biggest habit changes that I have made in the past 3.5 months, which have allowed me to double my productivity, double my learning speed, and stop looking 30 at the age of 21. Now, I just want to premise everything by saying this is not a guide for your life. You can do whatever you want. This is something that worked for me, so you don't have to follow. That being said, the reason I mentioned the stop looking 30 at 21 is because this is what I looked like 3.5 months ago. This is what I look like now. Objectively, I look much better. This is like feedback that I got from other people. And if we look at this picture again, you can see that the skin health was much worse. There was much more bloating, and the body fat percentage was higher. Like, yes, I still had, a pretty good muscle base because I've been working out the whole time for like 4 years at this point, and so I kind of just maintained the muscle. That being said, like, the skin health wasn't directly influenced by these productivity hacks, but like, for example, sleep will obviously improve your skin. And so all of this to say, all of these productivity improvements that I did in my life weren't a one way, like one direction street, where they only yielded positive effects in one area of my life. There was also side benefits such as improving my looks and stuff like that. So anyways, the first thing, like the biggest habit that I have changed, is changing from an erratic sleep schedule of like going to bed at 12 and then going to bed at 9. Very erratic, very bad. I have changed from that to a set bedtime of like not 8 to 9 p.m. and that has been absolutely, like, that has yielded the most best results. Now, it's also the most difficult because you always have friends calling you at night like, oh yeah, let's go there. There's always events happening late at night, and so obviously sometimes there will be events or there will be emergencies that I have to go to, and I will end up going to bed at 12, but those are rare occasions. If I'm able to say no to it, I will say no to it. And so going to bed at 8 to 9 has been, that has yielded the best results ever. And as far as waking up, I just wake up whenever I want. I get as much sleep as I want. I don't have an alarm. I hate alarms. I just wake up whenever I feel like I had enough. And usually that's like 6 to 8 hours of sleep, so I wake up anywhere from 3 to 5 a.m. And that also allows you to have this window in the morning of productivity. Pure productivity, pure peace. Nobody is touching you, nobody is calling you, nobody is available, so you can only work. You don't really have much else to do. Now, as I fixed my erratic sleep schedule, I was like, okay, what if I just maximize the sleep that I do get? And so this is my little sleeping bag. The first thing that I did was getting earplugs. These, even if you are in the house alone, even something as simple as the house cracking, like the little wood crackling or whatever, and then your your AC fan turns on, your brain actually gets out of REM sleep for a little bit to analyze what's happening, because our brains are optimized for survival, and so any sort of little noise, it will hear it. So getting these things is a huge improvement. And this thing actually I got before Romania because I was gonna go on the plane, and I was like, well, I'm gonna need to isolate myself from all the light around me. And so I got this sleep mask. This was the best $15 I ever spent. This thing completely cuts out all the light. Like, even if it's, like 12, even if it's like midday, this thing completely cuts out all the light. I don't know how they do this. This thing is amazing. But anyways, I got this right before Romania, and I've been using it ever since. It has like all this padding and stuff, and it feels really nice. And it just blocks out all the light. Super helpful. And then on top of the earplugs and the sleep mask, I use headphones. These ones. I actually have extra padding so that my ears don't hurt. And you might say, well, aren't you going to break your headphones? I haven't. I've been using it for like a month and a half. I haven't broken anything. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're like a super aggressive sleeper where you just move around a lot, you will break your headphones. That's not my problem. But I haven't broken my headphones. I lay on my pillow and I wake up in the same place if I wear the headphones. Now, MP3 player. Obviously, the headphones, if there's the earplugs and the headphones, if there's actually talking happening around you, if you're on a plane or something, you will not, or even if there's like cars driving by, if you live next to a highway, you will not totally block it out. And so what I have found super helpful is white noise. And the reason I use the MP3 player is because obviously there's nothing but the white noise on here, and so it's just super easy. You just carry it with you in here. But also, if you play the sound on the MP3 player, nobody can call you, text you, or reach you in any way, shape, or form. And you could say, oh, what if there's an emergency? Well, there's 911 for that. So that was the biggest thing. Like the fixing the sleep has yielded the most results. Now, the second one, and by the way, I stole a lot of these from Alex Hermosi. And some of these I have my additions. I have my little edits, but this is what worked for me. This little timer. I saw Alex use it, and I was like, I need to get me one because I'm also super, super distracted. I always get distracted like over the smallest things. And so setting the timer, the way to use it properly is you set it, and then even if you go get water, or if you look at your text messages for a second, you have to pause it. And so it kind of forces you to like, okay, well, I have this 30 minutes on here. I have this hour on here. I'll just finish it, whatever. And so you just end up being so much more productive. The third one that I had was cutting out sugars. And now, initially, the cutting out of the sugars was more for my improving my looks, because I didn't want to look 30 anymore. But eventually, I was like, I got this so much clarity in my head, and I actually didn't want sugars. Like, it was very weird. I think on the third day I still wanted sugar, but like after a week I didn't want it. And it's been like 3 months now. I don't want sugar at all whatsoever. No cravings. And so that like the amount of head clarity that it gave me, and then obviously from that I was like, I kind of just fixed up my meals more. I decided to cut down on sodium also. But like cutting out the sugar gave me a lot of clarity with my head. And by the way, there's people like who still eat sugar every day and are probably even more productive than me. I'm just saying what worked for me. The fourth one is the structuring of the meals. I typically have a protein shake in the morning as soon as I wake up in order to give me the biggest window possible for the protein to digest. And then I will have my lunch 11 to 12, and I'll have my last meal 5 to 6. Um, Typically, I just stick to high protein, low sodium meals. Those typically give me they slow me down the least, because if you have like a very high carb meal, typically you'll get sleepy and it's really difficult to stay focused on the task, especially if you're sitting down. And so, because a lot of your energy actually goes to your stomach to digest the food, and so I try to have like lighter meals, especially during lunch. In the evening, I don't care as much, but I just try to stick to the macros that I actually want. Um, but as far as actually spacing out the meals, you can kind of play with that, and that'll help you, possibly, like, if you just structure all your most brain demanding work in the morning, then all the work after lunch, if you just try to schedule the lower bandwidth tasks after that it's helpful, but it's not really a rule. You can kind of do whatever you want. um, I just try to have a meal that's kind of lighter for lunch. And then the last one is probably gonna be like closing curtains, cutting out music, just cutting out like little like low bandwidth distractions. Like even work, I used to listen to music a lot during work on the computer or even during physical work, and now I kind of just tend to cut it out because I notice like a 10% improvement in my productivity. And to me personally, most of the time, it's worth it to give that up. Like that music, or even if I go to a job, I notice that if I'm driving to the job, if I don't listen to music, I notice that I am far less anxious. Even if I was initially anxious, I'm far less anxious because there's no music playing or no distractions happening or anything like that. And those are basically like the 5 biggest ones. So, sleep, timer, sugars, or cutting out sugars, meal scheduling, and low bandwidth distractions. You have to get those out. Like I close my curtains too in my room because it's just, even the sun alone, like for example the sun coming up, I'll start thinking about that, and then all of a sudden I realize that I'm not even focused on the work that I'm actually doing. So I kind of just try to make the environment be the same, like so that nothing changes. Yeah, those are basically all the habits that I have changed, which have helped me become far more productive. I mean, there was times that I've been able, like if I take myself a year ago, there was times that I've been able to work, till like 14-hour days. But those periods weren't very long, and I would need to recover for much longer for those. And nowadays I've been able to just work 14-hour days for like a week, 2 weeks, just every day. And obviously that work varies, how physical it is and how demanding it is. Sometimes it's just more administrative, like boring work, but the productivity is significantly more with having done all of these things. And I just plan to keep on doing them because they don't really, like, it's not like I added the sauna or anything like that, and I didn't add anything to my life. If anything, I mostly just subtracted everything to allow space for the thing that I want the most.